Welcome everyone to the October 20th, 2025, having first a special Board of Zoning Adjustments meeting, and we'll follow that with the Planning Commission work session. This time I'm going to call the meeting to order. To join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kindly give us a roll call, please. Here. All right, all members are present. We have before us an agenda for tonight. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Nancy made a motion for approval of the agenda. Colin seconded the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, the agenda is now approved. Now for the next item of business. This is a review of an appeal for retaining wall building permit. This is an appeal for a building permit, wall building permit at 8410 West Habitat Lane. I'm going to ask staff to give a report on this as we discuss this application.
So, well, here, report this. We have an application for a retaining wall. We've come through, went through the process of review. I can't see this on my computer screen, so I'm going to have to shift. But essentially, a neighbor has disputed the approval of the permit, and this is what is coming for y'all. So, this was just there's currently a home under construction, and this is a separate from the home is very near completion as far as this property right here, is my understanding. They put in a permit to put a retaining wall on this property line. So this is in the Scissortail subdivision. It's an existing platted lot that was incorporated in city limits with the land swap. Property address retaining wall is 8410 Habitat Lane. And we can review some of the packet. Or what should be in the packet is some of the discussion, going back and forth, and then a letter from McClellan stating the approval process for the permit, what they looked at, and how they felt it was meeting all minimum requirements for the retaining wall in our code. So McClellan is actually, or engineers or city engineers are actually the ones that are listed as the entity to review these in the code, and so they have reviewed this and signed off on it. The only caveat to that is the permit itself was originally listed as a 6-foot retaining wall. There was some back and forth as far as discrepancies on the application where they had 8 feet listed on some of those, but what it was is the engineer contacted the retaining wall engineer. It was just a basic standard spec that they used. You know, it was never actually intended to be over 6 feet, so they revised that. And all that to be said is the retaining wall permit applicant has since come in and sent us an email stating that this is not going to be over 4 feet tall. So the retaining wall is going to stay under 4 foot tall. In discussion with the city attorney, based on our code that he reviewed and I reviewed, it does not require a permit application and does not require permitting from the city standpoint, based on our code. So they rescinded their permit application and they're just going to proceed with putting up a 4 foot retaining wall, is what has been stated.
And that's because it's under 4 feet.
Yes.
So is there something that we approve on
Yeah,
No.
I think it's kind of this to us. I'm sorry to be sounding stupid, but I don't see where this has anything to do with planning and zoning.
So, let's see in a second.
that? As part of the subdivision code or something?
Yeah.
But at this point, it's moot. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. If they rescinded their,
Essentially, Ms. Nancy, it just states that this is in the subdivision code, any appeals are heard by the commission. Is what it is.
Appeals of building permits
Well,
or appeals of zoning decisions?
I understand, and it's Board of Zoning Adjustment, because it's in the subdivision code. I looked at the same, I thought the same way, and looked at it, and, you know, discussing adjustment, it does go. I agree, I double checked, I was like, this is a building thing. It's like, but it is, and it's BZA, so we're not planning commission, BZA, we're not.
But the city attorney says it's in our bailiwick then.
Yeah.
That's what we'll go with.
And I apologize because that was in this and I did not put that excerpt. This is just the retaining wall section of the code. And I would add the part when it talks about the appeals. Once the period of time.
Was there a setback issue or any easements that we're concerned about?
There are no easements on that side.
Okay.
It's only to the north where there's a drainage easement. Correct? I got my directions right. The northern boundary that runs all along that,
I don't think,
that phase.
I may be wrong. I was thinking it was like the southern.
Or is that just,
I was thinking it was,
is north up on this one or is it south? Hang on, let me go back to that. I have this pulled up.
no, it's southern. Right?
Southern, okay.
So this
Because
is
the northern side is the street.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. So it's this is the parcel of the home that's proposing the wall. This is the adjacent property owner, and then this is just a open space. So.
Are the contours like the contours, I guess?
The slope line is farther from that. topo maps that was provided. If you start with that as one, if you start with problem. 7 here, or 6. So where does it start? It starts here in this illustration. If you look at this picture. Well, you can change the slope to that if they were looking for level. Because this ball would take everyone out shed it here to the south. Or it's only going to go into a valley here because this is where everything's going to naturally drop going back.
This side, you're getting it on the.
Well, yeah, I think that's not.
Right.
So Jason, I just be gone, I'm not sure the objective of what I need.
Well, that's what I'm trying, because like initially with the application, it's 6 feet.
Right.
If you look at the lot that's making the argument, it's like a natural drainage lot. The way the topography lines, you've got the lot that's to the west and the lot that's to the east of it are draining to it. So it's kind of got its own valley,
Right.
if you will, there. So the wall coming up would flatten the lot to the east, which is where the construction's at, which would then change the flow of the water to the south, to that vacant area.
Should improve it.
It should. Otherwise, you're still gonna continue, because you're gonna have, runoff from the rooftop.
Yeah.
Now, what's not illustrated here, and wouldn't be illustrated here, is where is the rooftop being directed to? Like, where are we catching gutters, and where are we placing that water?
But if they no longer, are we looking at that they can't do a 4-foot retaining wall, is that what we're considering?
Well, if they've written the statement that they're not going above 4 foot, and they're staying to the subdivision code, then there's really nothing, there's no action here.
Because their permit was 4 or 24.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's pretty.
So I guess the next question I have, I've got a reference of some pictures here with T-post next to it. And a general T-post, that's under 4 feet, just as a historical reference.
So that's like already.
That's already completed,
Okay, I just want to make sure that I was thinking correctly.
but I have,
This is the picture of what's there, right?
well, it's not capped, but if you throw a cap on there, you're going with a fixation like that. Yes. I mean, from some of the pictures that's been submitted, I mean, this goes back into building side of it, outside of the purview here, but the base that looks like it's been compacted would have to be cut and removed to keep it from rolling, reaching the top of the wall, rolling off the top of the wall. But again, that goes back into the building side of it, because the wall's purpose is to hold back the soil, prevent the runoff. That's what part of this objective is.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's going to sheet over it.
Well, and you can see the topography, I mean, right now, everything's sheeting this way anyways. You know, this is essentially just a valley for everything going, into this one valley. There is a drainage easement that's on this property line that goes to full length, so essentially, they platted into the, final plat, drainage easement on this property line, for water to move back here.
Wait, where's the?
There's drainage easement on this property line.
On the other side of the
Yeah.
property line, so not this.
Yeah, retaining wall questions, essentially right here.
How far off of the property line is it?
9 inches. That was going to be my question, was about the wording of shall not encroach neighboring property lines, exactly how far is considered encroaching.
Well, encroachment by definition means crossing the line.
Yeah, across.
So, so as long, no.
Encroaching.
So if it's
Now-
9 inches off of the.
So it can be in the setbacks, like retaining walls can be in setbacks. They just have to have the engineering certification essentially, and I think I goes over that in the part that I sent y'all.
Yep.
And
They
they
probably
do have
all
all
the
the
structural
certification, for that.
Well, according to the detail, that they would come 5 inches into that, so if we've got 9 inches, we've got.
Well, the question is where's the property boundary?
Yeah.
Okay, if it's been surveyed, it's 6-inch toe, right? So the question is where,
If you got 3 inches.
where's the placement? But as long as it doesn't encroach, that's what the code says. Yeah.
You know, have a 3 inch, yeah, if it's there.
And it's using, geogrid interlocks on 2 foot. With a fluid drain and backfill.
Which is all on their side, so.
Yeah.
That's just-
And using more geotech for erosion control.
Can you share the photos from the site?
No,
No.
I haven't taken any photos of the site.
Is that one?
Hang on a second. You may, I got this.
Possible.
I know, just forward this to you. This works. Just forward it to you. Just forward it to you.
Yeah, I did. Because I need to find it on this, and not up there.
So, have to assume a few things. I've heard 9 inches, I don't know firsthand where the property line physically lies. And the erosion control that was installed, if it's indeed 9 inches off the walls, 9 inches off the property line, the erosion control would be on the neighbor's property, which that shouldn't have occurred without some type of agreement. There should have been some type of agreement reached on that. Otherwise, where is the property boundary? You know, that's not the BZA's purview on where those types of things.
What is pictures referring to?
See how that's sloping down on top of that? It's kind of interesting.
So,
It seems to be probably
no, well, that's what's going on behind the wall. I mean,
Can you go back to that photo where you gave John blocks?
Which,
When I had a stack of blocks.
next to the T-post,
yeah,
those are 8-inch blocks. Yeah. 40 inches tall, above grade. Step down.
Is there a step in? That hill on top is just.
Yeah, the fiddle on top has to be resolved. Obviously, it looks like it was being constructed for a 6-foot
Yes.
wall.
So I mean, they modified their application. The grading does not indicate that as installed.
well, yeah, that's what I'm figuring out. Of course.
I don't know what that is.
Because there's no longer an application, right? For us to be able to say, you need to do this.
When do we have to take action on it?
Well, but if there's no longer an application just to meet the code, like just to come in and say like, oh, it was graded for 6 feet, we designed it for 6 feet, but now that you can't have 6 feet without some kind of problem, I'm gonna drop it down on paperwork to a 4-foot wall, when you clearly have grading at a 6-foot wall, and that, the grade on top of that's a little too high, when you get rain, it's gonna walk.
It's just gonna go right
Well, we'll
fall.
have to grade it down, you know, so it's going to get to 4 foot.
But look at where, is that the base of the house up there?
That's the question.
Well,
And, I mean, you can't grade it down.
that would be the base of the house there.
Yeah, how far is that from where the other photo was taken? I'm not sure, but you can't just get rid of grade without another wall.
Yeah, you have to do
I mean,
which technically speaking, they could terrace it, they just have to be these 1.5 times the height of the tallest wall back on their terrace.
I would say that,
Well,
Yeah, they
have
do.
a backyard.
Because they have the whole backyard, and we didn't, they have to go, if they're at 4 feet, they have to go 6 feet in towards the center of the lot, and then they can go up with another 4-foot wall if they want.
Yeah. I think, I just don't want us to get into, maybe they removed it, great. Maybe they didn't, but,
Well, it looks like they needed a 6-foot wall, but
right.
my understanding is that's not what was wanted. So I don't know what to do.
well, then
It sounds like they wanted a 6-foot wall, they submitted for a 6-foot wall, their engineer designed for a 6-foot wall, but then a neighbor complained, and so they said, wait a minute, we can't have a 6-foot wall without a problem, so we're making it a 4-foot wall. And now we're here because the neighbor said, I don't want that, y'all can't vote on that, so I appealed it. So she took the legal route or whatever she did to get it to before us. So, I mean, we have no application at this point, but it seems like.
And that's what we need more than all
Our code is 4 without a
approval.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
not
you get
approval.
hired, then.
There's a approval
process.
the code is formed without an approval
Right.
process. There still is a review.
Yeah, but it goes to the building department.
Yeah, and that's the building department. But there's no official, like, review. I think the best route would be to vote to either still uphold the 6-foot wall or not. I mean, I would assume that if they were okay with doing the 6-foot wall, they would still do the 6-foot wall.
That's not what's
It's
for us.
That's not, that's not really even our position to do. Is it?
Yeah, that public hearing is for the approval of the 6-foot wall.
I feel like it needs to be, I'm not saying it needs to be for the neighbor, I'm thinking, looking at that grade, it should not be a 4-foot wall.
Well, they originally wanted a 6-foot wall,
The
yes.
6-foot wall is
It feels like they're
And the
pulling it
6-foot
fast
wall
on the
is
city.
what was reviewed and approved. and
By
then
our
appealed.
city engineer,
By McClellan.
McClellan,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
So is the builder or Tammy, do you want to add to?
Well, we haven't opened the public hearing
Oh,
yet.
Yeah,
so
we're still having a
we-
discussion on this. This is a review.
No, so that's what I'm saying, I think, I would
just have
assume they would
questions.
prefer to have 6-foot retaining wall there. And if the appeal of the approval of the 6-foot retaining wall application was upheld, they might still want to go that route.
Maybe that's why, that's the problem.
I'm concerned for the drainage on that neighbor if they don't do a 6-foot wall. But I am not heard.
I mean, I think it works, but.
Well, yeah, well, the 4-foot's still better than what it was naturally. But, and
Yeah,
the 6
But
foot
now
would be
it's
better than the 4-foot.
right
But you're still
over,
gonna, it's gonna
it's,
reach the wall.
the way that wall's,
It,
it's gonna creep right down into the river.
That's probably why it was engineered for 6.
You're correct, because it needs a 6-foot wall.
to change the direction.
Just
of
to
the
change
water.
the paperwork to be a 4-foot wall does not fix the problem, it actually makes it probably worse with drainage.
They stated even if they could, they did not want a 6-foot wall. They
Oh, so they
would
don't
all
want a wall.
everything, it would only be 4-foot.
That's not what they told me.
That's what the builder told me.
He told me
I think that-
that if he gets the right decision tonight, he may very well come in and make the application for 6-foot.
Because it needs to be a 6-foot wall looking at it. So they're just reduced it down to get through city. Unfortunately, after they've already started
They will
construction.
reduce more of the compromise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
But they have an application that was approved, or that was put in works. It was applied for on August 11th. Right, 6 weeks, or 10 weeks ago, about.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty, it's been so a while, and it took a while to get a review, you know, through the club, through the city standpoint.
But it was reviewed and approved.
Yes.
When was that approval?
Indicated, I think that,
So our
Talk
engineers.
about- and It's been a while, this
so
is,
Crockett,
and the
uh,
only reason I say that is because the building department, you know, gets emails, and I don't know the specific date. So
Okay,
I
I think
think
it's really not that important.
Because
I
it's-
just tried to give it time.
this is one of those weird things where it doesn't necessarily go to the planning office, but I might be able to get it during the final.
No, it's a building permit.
It is a building permit.
It was mid-September, I didn't know that.
9/10, I believe,
So it was
about.
applied for as a 6-foot retaining wall. Our engineer reviewed it and approved it. So the building permit was approved. And now someone is appealing it that is not the applicant for the building permit, the next door neighbor,
Yes,
correct?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. But our engineer says 6-foot wall is approved there, and it looks like that's what's needed. So I guess we're being asked to overturn that.
To uphold or overturn the building
Okay.
permit, essentially, yes.
Clear.
And Nancy, just for reference, if you wanna look at this page and the blue lines that are drawn, there's definitely more than 4. Like, it's not been reviewed at a 4-foot wall. He's not saying they've approved it to manage the drainage at 4 feet.
Right, no, it was.
You can count the contours that hit that wall, it's not 4 feet.
Yeah.
Well, there was definitely some back and forth with Adam and myself and the applicant for the building permit. Because, we wanted clarification, because I mean, at one point it showed everything from, essentially, like I was saying earlier, there was like what you call a standard spec, right? So you had a standard spec showing a wall from 2 foot to 8 foot. And so then, we were like, why is this 8 foot? You're saying it's 6 foot. He's like, oh, well, that's just a standard spec, and they used it for all. It's like, okay. It's like, well, so there was definitely like back and forth, even in that regard, where, we were wanting to make sure, like, it's just 6 foot, this is what we're doing. And then you can see, on one of those pages where Mr. Osweiler, used that topo page that I had on the screen earlier, and kind of showed, what, you see what the drainage is existing, and then if you put a new wall there, how it redirects all the drainage essentially to the rear and directly to that open space.
And that is based on the 6 foot.
That's designed, yes, that's based on the 6 foot wall.
So you can count the contours.
Got it.
Because he actually took the contour where, like the wall is at that, the gold line, and it's kind of like, it takes that contour across.
Right. I see.
I mean, with all the water drainage issues that we already have across the area, anything that mitigates it is a win.
Well, and I don't think reducing the floor should be an option.
No, because that actually, that.
And I know that they're like paused right now, they're
Yeah.
not done.
But what's before us is to either
Well,
uphold or overturn the approval of the 6 foot retaining wall.
Yes.
Do you want to hold a hearing and then we can discuss?
yes. So, is this clear as mud, everybody?
Yeah.
But it wasn't just you when we first went through that. He's like, this has got to go to the planning commission. I'm like, oh. And after about 10 minutes of discussion, I was like, dang it, yes it does.
All right, so let's let's open up public comment related to that. At this time, I'm going to open up public comment. For those that have public comments to be made, please approach the podium and state your name and address, please.
Hi, Tammy Hennigan. I'm 84, 12 West Habitat. So kind of how this all came about is if you look to the right side of the construction fence, that was the original grade. They brought in over 6 foot of fill dirt and just raised their entire backyard. When they originally started building, they had no application in with the city. They had to get a survey after I kept pushing, so there's a lot of trust issues there. I don't know if they've had a new topo survey done after they elevated the yard. And honestly, nobody argued them having a retaining wall. It was the location, putting it that close to the property line, because when I put my fence up, there's no way for them to maintain that. And they're putting the responsibility on me. And that's kind of what I was against and why I was wanting them to just move it over a little. But they continued to build at property line for the 4 foot. So either the builder's truthful, they're doing a 4 foot wall, lowering the grade, or he was playing the game to continue with construction even though he did not have a permit to build. And he's been pushing this. I mean, you can see like at some point, they always elevate the grade of my lot, and it's been anywhere from 6 inches to 3 feet. And they'll come and scrape it, but then they just readjust it. So I haven't even been able to monitor through the rainstorms.
So you're wanting them to be on their property line so that you do not have any issues?
No, I wanted to move it over. So like in the design plan that they submitted, it was 1 foot. The builder told me it would be 2 foot from property line, and then the landscape company put it within a foot. And so like even your inspector, if you guys go up to a 6 foot, cause I've been trying to put up my privacy fence, but I haven't been able to because they keep adjusting my lot grade. Once that goes up, your inspector can't even get there to finalize it. So my request would be either they bring down their backyard some, accommodate the 4 foot like the builder has said that they can do, or rip out the wall and move it farther away from the property line. I mean, because the builder knew that was a gamble by continuing to build and hoping for a 6 foot.
Well, he had approval for the 6 foot, right?
Right.
So,
But then he had like the stop work order from my understanding because the appeal was accepted by the city of Cape Springs. So they were not to work on it. And the builder told the enforcement officer, no, this won't be over 4 foot. Stated that to the mayor. Madison even confirmed 4 foot is what you were told.
That's like all the way after the fact, after the 6 foot wall was approved, right?
Once they had a permit to
Yes.
go.
Yeah, that's all that there.
Well, wait a minute, but did they have a stop work order by inspection or anything? Who had the stop work order?
I believe, so I know Will Smith was putting one in because, so originally the silk fence was on my side, but they kept shoving everything over, so they did adjust that. The orange fence is what I installed, and it's a few inches within my property line. And they continuously just knock it down and damage it. Like they can't
Because
even,
they can't work.
they can't build the fence without adjusting my property, so how are they gonna maintain, and what does this look like long-term? And that's why I would just say 4 foot, it takes the liability from the city away. I mean, that was like one of my questions is, if you guys do the final inspection and say, hey, this is good, there's no issues, do you guys have an active like liability insurance coverage?
Well,
Because
there is
most
a lot
homeowners-
with the city, it's a problem between two property owners.
I feel like it may be a civil matter.
I mean, it's a civil matter.
Agreed.
Because there's no temporary construction easement agreement between the two parties.
That's where this thing went awry from the word
Yeah.
go.
And to be honest, I have tried to reach out to the owners multiple times. I've tried texting and calling because I'm like, we're gonna be neighbors. We need to be adults. Like, let's come to an agreement. You know, like, do you put it exactly on the property line, and then that just becomes my fence so that I can like maintain? But the way they've done it, the builder actually has built on both sides of my current property, and they did the gravel. And there's just weeds climbing over the top of the fence and through the shadow lots. So I don't know how they can physically maintain the longevity of it. Because you can't just build something and abandon it and hope for the best.
I completely understand what you're saying, but I
So-
still don't think it's.
So that's where, what you just stated there, like, that type of maintenance comes under your covenants for your POA. So there's where that enforcement comes into play for the property owners maintaining it. If it's on theirs, the POA should be under enforcement that way.
But how can they like be forced to maintain something they physically don't have access to?
No, because that's on their side, that's their property. If it's not on yours, it's theirs. So they have to maintain it.
But
The
if
question is they created a burden on maintaining it, and how are they going to do it? But your covenants through your POA is gonna say you gotta maintain this. That's not gonna be on you to maintain it.
But it
That's
kind
gonna
of,
be on them.
but it kind of forces my hand. When you have 9 inches, like I'm pretty small for and I couldn't fit in that space to
no,
like go.
you spray your gravel, probably.
So, and that's one of the things that the city engineer said is he's like, you're not gonna like my answer, but I mean, it will be your responsibility. So everyone just kind of keeps telling me it's, yeah, you need this.
Well,
If it was essentially, they're not gonna they would put a fence up on top of that, not.
yeah, so, I see a couple of more. I mean, there's part of it, just plain devil's advocate here, part of this, there is an advantage to having that wall there, because then you don't really have a wood fence or anything like that you have to maintain.
but they didn't build it on property line, they put it 9 inches, so then they would have to grant me for the front access connectability. But they haven't wanted to communicate at all.
What'd you say?
I think we need a 6-foot wall. I know you don't love the idea of it, but that grade looks like it needs to be taller. And it's
So I get the burden of that because they decided to
That's-
raise it the entire yard over 6 foot.
that, I don't know that, I'm not between the commission, but we would need to maintain, or withhold the 6-foot wall that's approved, because that's what's appropriate for the topography that we're shown, and that's what's to fix the problem. Now, the fact that they have graded on your property and to alter your grade, that's a civil matter between you and them, not so much the city. But I feel like that's between you and them, and they didn't have a signed agreement to go over there and dig in your yard and change that grade. So that's.
And again, like I haven't built, like if they would have just opened up, and this should have been a 40-minute conversation between neighbors to come to agreement, but here we are. I got the runaround from everyone, and that's how I ended up with you guys to make an answer. But since they, he mentioned that they had withdrawn the application for the 6 foot, is that accurate?
They stated that they were going to proceed with the pool.
We have an email saying that they're.
Yeah, but you know, it says you're gonna retract your,
Yeah, I was trying to think of exactly how to word it.
So the place.
that was
I
your,
agree with it, it says you're building 4 foot wall.
It's in here. Mrs. Madison asked the question and they confirmed.
So I guess the question I would pose is if they state a 4 foot wall, can you not just deny the permit application and then it moves to a civil matter at that point? Because this is already slightly out of your wheelhouse. And if the builder is the one stating that he only needs a 4 foot, then that would be on him and the property owner.
But that's all after the fact.
We don't have a 4 foot before us.
No,
We have a 6
6
foot.
foot.
Right, that's.
But if the application was rescinded and stating that the wall is only 4
But that's
foot,
not that's not what this action is. The only choice, the only action that we can take legally, as far as what I see, is to either uphold the permit approval or deny it.
and then it's upon the
And it's
builder if they
6
want to continue on or if they want to rescind it.
So if you have an attorney that can just, make some kind of contact, it becomes, I think, a civil matter.
Yeah.
so then,
It's a great start to being neighbors is all I can say.
yeah, I'm like, this will be my first bad neighbor I've ever had in like decades. And I'm like, why am I moving? I have like the best neighbors now.
Maybe you sell that one.
Then I don't have a basement.
And I feel from where you're coming from, because I've experienced this too, with some builders.
And honestly, like, I remember when I built my house, like, I was super stressed out at the end. You're paying your, like, highest interest payment. You're excited to move in, and all of these little things pop up. So I understand their frustration, but these are kind of big kid decisions that they should probably be involved in.
Now, the home is built indeed inside of the setback.
Correct.
Yes.
I'm just after
my knowledge.
If the
I'm
wall, I'm playing devil's advocate again, is if the wall has encroached the property line,
Well,
That's the
the
building.
wall has approached the property.
as long as it has not,
Yes.
It's the yellow string. So if there's no
that is
settling
put in.
or like pushing it, yeah. And that was kind of the thing that I've had some unofficial engineers like comment on is you are potentially going to look at that, and that's why I was just wanting it moved over. It seems like the easy fix. Nobody was disputing the need for a retaining wall.
They can do whatever they want on their property.
The-
As long as it-
And the code, the subdivision code said, yes, it can be right up against it.
So if we basically deny a 6 foot wall, we're gonna put you in a worse position, I think, with a 4 foot wall. that they can do within the code.
All that replaced from right on your backyard.
Yeah,
just
and
think
that's
so.
all what they raise, but and they have the excavator like, in front of it so they can shuffle the dirt back around and lower it. 'Cause
Well,
that's
the
what
thing
they've
is,
been
is the
doing.
holes, where the grade level of the hole,
On that side. It's not that.
it's at a certain level now.
I think
And
it's-
so if they cut that, you're still gonna have water that's gonna shed and breach the wall. Because you still have fall. And water's going to the lowest point. And unfortunately, your lot is the lowest point.
So that's true, if you look at this.
Okay.
Tree, and I showed my favorite line, if you look at this. That was their original lot line, just that's how much it's.
And that's what I'm saying too, is what we're indicating is if it was built for 6 foot, was what they applied for,
And then,
and now we go to 4, you still have fall.
Now you have 2 feet extra of dirt to fall in your yard.
Or,
Like, are they gonna have it?
how-
We're gonna have to terrace it back, or they're gonna yard is going to the road, right?
So it's gonna have to come up with a wall, whether it's there or it's 6 feet or a terrace.
Either terrace or 6 foot. Do you plan to put in a fence?
Yeah, we've actually been trying to put in our privacy fence during all of this, but I've had the fence guy come out twice, and they altered my grade so much they couldn't install. They
Well-
ran over the 811 stuff, and so I just gave up.
Look, let me ask you a question on the terrace, just as a question on a privacy fence. Because of the vantage point that the house has been set at, any privacy fence you put up is gonna look over. So if they put a fence over, that's really the only place the privacy fence is gonna be coming from,
On their side, yes.
on their side. Otherwise, they can look right over.
And the fence company doesn't like to put the fences directly on top of the retaining wall because it causes too much
Yeah, you
stress.
said it.
So
They
it's
said
set inside on theirs,
Correct.
yeah.
So,
Some very large evergreens.
I mean, I'm more worried about the longevity of it. They have a young family. It's probably not their forever home. This is a retirement home for me. So I have different views of things that I'm looking at. They're kicking the problem down to the next property owner.
I think this
And I think they could move their grade. I mean, if you were concerned about that and the builder said 4 foot, they can run down the 2 foot. I mean, they've slowly been dropping it. So, I mean, they are perfectly capable, especially if they were promoting that they can do a 4 foot.
but it just messes up the way that the drainage is going to go. Because in what we see here from McClellan, the drainage was all supposed to go the opposite direction. But if they're continuously dropping that side to try to do a 4 foot wall to, I guess, try to make somebody happy, it's now gonna run off the other way.
So, were they basing their information off of before or after that the backyard was filled with dirt with over 6 foot?
Well, it would depend
Well,
on what
it's-
the other side
So
is.
what it shows, what they're illustrating is what the fall was, and then they have an illustration of leveling it out to change the fall so that it's gonna go to the back of the lot, away from you, towards that area that's to the further to the south.
When you get 6 foot wall.
So it's changing the flow of the drainage, the runoff from the yard, from going onto your property to the back of both of y'all's property.
If the final grade ends up as what's on the paper.
Yeah.
And how are they gonna, yeah, and so what happened, and this is what I keep asking, and the attorney's been non-responsive, like, if they went over the 4 foot, and that's what you guys said, what's the consequence? If they apply for a 6 foot and it goes over 6 foot, because there's no way that they can build up in that 9 inches without accessing my property to cover any overage from the retaining wall. So what actions do I have to take from a city standpoint?
Well, the city, if they exceed, correct me if I'm wrong here, if they exceed what the permit is for, they won't get a certain certificate of occupancy, because this is part of the whole building permit process.
Yes,
So that's the leverage that
So I guess
the
my,
city has and you have is they can't take occupancy on the home if it doesn't meet the specification.
so I guess my question is, and I'm a bad judge of character, the height of things. It looked like that the retaining wall was already slightly over 4 foot in some areas, and that was all that they were allowed to do currently. So there's like no accountability. Like
So when you,
I can't. They don't want me on their property.
well, you don't
They
even
got
have to be
mad when
there.
I
You
walked
can
out.
just do it by counting the blocks, they're 8-inch blocks.
And they
So-
permitted a 6-foot fence wall,
I-
so.
Was the permit actually granted? Because I was under the impression that
That's what I got a
it
copy
was.
of.
Well,
here.
apparently it was, or there wouldn't even be a.
That's what-
need for an appeal.
Yeah, the 6 foot
It's it's,
wall permit was approved.
yeah, that's why there's a whole appeal process, but there's calculations off of it, there's this, all the information's here for an application.
I was under the understanding that you guys were approving it, but they couldn't do the work until this appeal.
No.
We don't do that.
We don't approve the permits for this, that goes to the building department, but because you've appealed it, the appeal process will go to the board of zoning, that's why it's clear.
6, 8-inch blocks and 30 foot.
So, any wall is not, again, is gonna be a portion of it's below grade, and then there's a portion above grade. As something transgresses across that change of property, it will never be 100% at all times, but you're smoothing it over because you can't do a block wall that way, unless you do a forward cast wall. So you're gonna have a few flex spots that might peak above it, but each one of those is, if those are 8-inch blocks, those are 40 inches.
I think she's already over.
You think so?
We're at 4.3
Where?
if you count the blocks right there by your second.
So
1, 2, 3.
No, go to
4.
the right where you're at,
Okay.
the top block on that one,
this,
the top block on the top row right here.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying,
One,
is it's,
2, 3. It's right there, and that's if you have it, you're at 4.3. Right? 6.5. 28 inches. 1.
yeah, but as you transgress across there, how much percent is over that?
I don't know if there's code states.
That's the thing, is everything that I've been involved with on the engineering side you're gonna have variation in your building, so you're gonna have a nominal, it's just like a 3060 window or whatever. Are they really?
I think we're just talking in circles.
We are. I'm of the opinion that,
Any further?
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's right, so we're still in public comment. Is there any further public comment related to that? Okay, if there's no further public comment, we'll close public comment. We'll take this into session. All right, so coming back to this appeal of this retaining wall application, 8014 West Habitat Lane, that relates to parcel 0224174000. So,
So, I'm just curious, what's the concern so if we say, if we uphold what's approved,
Right.
but they've already emailed our city staff and stated they will not come forward, we can see the issue with the 4-foot wall.
That's not.
Do we, but we see that we're creating a potential problem.
But that's part of the whole final inspection. If they exceed it, then they're not gonna get their certificate of occupancy. I think that what's before us is, we all agree, I think, that it needs to be a 6-foot retaining wall. So I make a motion that we deny the appeal and uphold the permitting of the 6-foot wall.
okay, so Nancy's made a motion to the floor to uphold the building permit application of 6-foot retaining wall. Okay. Kaylee, second that motion. All right, all those in favor of upholding the application permit for retaining wall, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, so that is unanimously approved, so it will be retained. Upheld. Appeal is upheld.
The
Appeal
is
died, and the wall is, yes, is 6 feet.
The original.
The original application is approved.
Application approval is okay.
Yeah. All right, so with that being said, our next motion is to adjourn DCA.
Second.
Found for the motion, against the second motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign, we are now adjourned. Now let's enter the planning commission work session. So now we have a Trillium subdivision. Let's talk about this preliminary plat. I know there was issues that was being resolved with sewer utilities, that type of thing. Mr. Smith, please enlighten us.
Good evening. It's been a while. I feel like I missed some long lost friends last month, but we do have some changes, and I think we're going to give you a new picture. And if I can borrow that green board.
It's such pretty colors.
Sir?
I was so excited at the last work session when Commissioner Henry made it sound like y'all had all your questions answered and were ready to vote, and then we got our bids back from our contractor and realized that we had a couple of issues still outstanding we wanted to look at a little closer. Mainly, we'd had several rounds of comments back from engineers about the sewer depth and how it was going to be difficult to maintain over time. It was also going to be very expensive to build. We had some changes to our off-site sewer alignment needs down on our other property. The managing the stormwater coming in off-site from the north was also turning out to be very expensive with some large underground infrastructure that we would like to avoid. And then just the amount of filter that was required to bring everything up and get the sewer at the right depth to work. It was clear that was not the most efficient way to go. So we took a couple of weeks off, went back to the drawing board, and made some minor changes to the site plan that we'll share with you. Here's the side by side if you need a comparison. Nothing above ground has changed on the east side of the boulevard. All the changes, the current Murdoch to future Trillium, we hope. All the changes are over there on the west side. And so what we've done is change how we manage the stormwater coming in from the north. Instead of trying to pipe it all underground, we've gone with an open channel into the detention pond. Had to rearrange the lots a little bit to make room for that. But it comes with some other advantages. It saves us a whole lot of fill because there's a low spot there and we were having to lift all that up. Brings the sewer that was going to be 15, 18, 20 feet deep up substantially to saving materials, saving the width of the easements that would be required. Especially into the roundabout where there's just a lot going on. I think the city staff was concerned about how expensive maintenance would be there, so we've managed to bring that up substantially. The other main change that's happening here that's underground, doesn't show on the site plan, we had previously had the northern stub for the sewer line coming up what's currently Old Murdoch Road. And by moving it to the new Trillium Boulevard, it brings it about 10 feet lower in grade, so we're going to be able to serve a larger basin to the north for future development that way, and we thought that was probably good for us and good for the city. One other, I mentioned there we go. Yeah, I'm going to get there eventually.
You saw future stub out locations.
Okay. The future
sewer was on like the alignment of existing Murdoch.
Was planned to be right there.
And it's been shifted to where the north of the roundabout in that location.
Okay.
When we reviewed this like a month ago, like it was kind of more closer to natural low point, so.
This is about 10 feet higher than this is, so by moving that to a naturally lower spot for the sewer, it'll collect from the broader
Okay,
area.
good now.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, we have had a meeting, you know, and reviewed and discussed some of this. When I say we, applicant, Adam, you know, planning staff, Will, I think was in on that one.
Will was there, Adam was there.
But, more, I mean, as importantly, Andrew, Drew, the actual water sewer guy.
Yep.
So I mean, everybody, even as we initially started talking about some of these changes, we've already had a kind of roundtable discussion on this.
Yeah.
Just for clarification.
Thank you for reminding me of that. I should have led with, when they've already seen it and gave us the go-ahead for this approach. And then our off-site sewer, we are looking at adjusting, again, to help avoid some parallel lines that were running service lines along with a 18-inch trunk line in the same path. It's hard to see on here. We previously had the sewer line running down, threading the needle between a couple of barns there, and now we're talking with this property owner here about coming down this direction and again hitting the west side of our other property to the south. Again, that keeps it a whole lot shallower, but also gets it a little bit lower in elevation so that we can do a cheaper installation, cheaper maintenance in the future, and still avoid a lift station for the city and serve a broader landmass future development if that becomes necessary. So this is the changes we're proposing. We didn't come last week or 2 weeks ago because we're still drawing this out and redoing all of the detailed drawings. Expect that we will also not see y'all in the voting meeting for November because we hope to get things submitted to engineering, but there's no way it'll be back from them by then. So our plan is to see you again with an update at the November work session if you would like it, and then hopefully we've got everything approved and blessed by McClelland and can ask you to vote for it in December.
Okay. With the changes you did on the stuff that's to the west of what would become Trillium Boulevard, right? What was the lots impacted there?
I believe we have managed to keep the lots exactly the same. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a more efficient layout if you look at the. So the lots in the northwest corner with all the curving streets have a lot of radial pie-shaped lots.
Yep.
And those have kind of gone away for more typical lot size.
Mm-hmm.
So we've managed to keep the same lot count, but the natural drainage takes up more green space and reduces a lot of fill. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Any plans for a trail on that additional green space?
We are carefully studying the required width for the channel and doing our absolute best to fit one in there. It is, that's the goal.
Yes.
Our constraint is it triggers the city's primary channel, so we're 55 feet wide just for the drainage area. So
May not fit.
we're trying to fit one, but it's snug.
Maybe even on one side.
We don't consider it one side.
We'll fit it in there if we can.
We've got all the legality stuff sorted out for the water tower.
Yes.
Yeah, I was saying, I think there's still work that's going to be done with it, but the council has approved
They approved the actual legal verbiage. It will be completed as part of the final plat process.
There's an agreement out there that I think I need to get our owner and your mayor together to sign some paperwork on.
It took the next step kind of there, so until we actually get to the final process.
Okay. Well, good. Yeah, I heard the some of that 20 plus feet deep for that's.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
And when we saw the costs come back to area that deep, it was a lot, so.
Yeah.
Well, I think moving that sewer line to that location was actually a result of us having a meeting here that day. Like, that
The
was,
water line.
Yeah,
Yeah, the water line for the tower.
no, we're talking about the sewer line that they moved, that's on the Trimble. Like, you know, we had, we went for an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that, kind of went over everything. Like, that was something that everybody was kind of brainstorming.
Anytime you can allow gravity to do the work rather than a lift station, you better off.
Well, it was gravity, but like I said, it was the 20-foot depth, and the space that, it's like, if we have to work on this, like, we're gonna end up like having the whole road plus like tearing sidewalk down the sides if we didn't step this thing back.
Yeah,
It's amazing how much material is required to fill a 20-foot hole.
yeah, but it was the resisting gravity during construction and maintenance that we were worried about there, so, yeah.
The other advantage of that for the city's end, we were able to remove all the iron pipe. Because when it's greater than 15 feet of depth, it has to be iron pipe. So now we're under 15, so it's a lot easier to get to, and it's a lot cheaper to build.
Yeah, and maintain,
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Good. Commissioners, do you have any other questions?
Come a long way, baby.
It's been, so it's been a while, so, then we will proceed on this course, get everything resubmitted, comments back, and, we will reevaluate the costs and not have any more changes on this one, I'm hoping. So thank you all for your patience and your work with us on this one.
Thank you. Thanks for your patience tonight.
No problem.
Get the opportunity to talk. All right.
Well, it's in
Work session. You don't need to-
Yeah, I knew that.
Well, you should have helped me.
Well, I just need to